guys, welcome back to Out of Band. My name is Jennifer.
My name is Faith.
And today we are joined by Steven and Sebastian. And we're going to talk about something which I think is pretty cool. Preparation for incident and crisis response. So guys, welcome. Do you want to introduce yourselves a little bit?
Sure, I'll go first, Sebastian. I prefer it that way. And I don't have to get nervous listening to the guy ahead of me. So my name is Steven Delahunty. I work for IBM X-Force. I'm a cyber crisis management advisor to C-suite and board members. What I do, what that means is that I design and deliver immersive training exercises. So we spend about 2.5 to 3 hours making the world a better place by terrorizing the men and women that run it. So yeah, we get a big kick out of doing that. We've been doing that now for a couple of years for formerly the command center and now the cyber range at X-Force.
Sounds great.
That's lovely. So I would say the same as Steven. And I could add that the beauty of those drills, those trainings, those immersions, you name it, is to be focused on what the CISO and the CIO wants to do in the next month. Because we face a lot of CISOs and CIOs which are really good at technical activities, and sometimes they are, sometimes a little difficult for cyber people to translate their world into business words, and this is also what we are here to do. We say we make top managers sweat, and we speak on behalf of the CISO and the CIO. So that's pretty fun, yeah.
It sounds pretty awesome to start with. Make people sweat.
Oh yeah, love it.
So maybe let's start with the basics. Like, what do you mean when you talk about a crisis simulation, and what do you mean about rehearsing things with people?
Sebastian, I'll jump in, and you obviously interrupt at any point, right? Sebastian and I work kind of hand in hand, hand in glove. I support him, he supports me, depending on the leads. So sometimes I'll you try to add to Sebastian's points, but I'll never be speaking in contrary. So the entire focus is from the moment that they've lost control, right? It's from the moment that there's been a breach, right? Their defenses have been breached, and that kind of sharpens everyone's focus, right? And all our simulations start at that point, okay? Because these days, sadly, it's inevitable. It's a matter of time, and the attacker only has to be successful at one time, right? So our CISOs and below have secured the defenses 365, 24, almost 7, and boom, they've been breached. And it's now a case of what do we do? Containment, remediation, crisis response. And of course, the crisis is defined by each business, right? They have their own criteria, right? But what we particularly deal with is enterprise level attacks, something that's brought the whole organization to a complete standstill, and they're no longer making money. Production is stopped. These kind of scenarios, right? And when you're talking like Sebastian and I do to the rest of the C levels, it's about that business response. We try to, like Sebastian was saying, we advocate on behalf of the CISO, and we explain that a cyber crisis is not an IT issue, right? An enterprise level attack requires an enterprise level response, right? So that's what we do. So we take them from the moment of crisis and over an accelerated period timeline. Usually these simulations are 3 hours long, and that could be the first 1, 2, 3, 4 days of a cyber attack. And yeah, I mean, this is pretty intense. So we squeeze as much as we can into these scenarios to show them what a disaster looks like, and how one badly managed can ruin a business and its reputation.
Yeah, and by putting them into situations which are dealt with on the IT side by the operations people, we also make them picture that on the business side there is a lot on their plate, to face press, to face the media, to face the consequences of plant disruption, to face the consequences and the impact, for example, of customers not being able to shop online, or all of those moments and situations where this is not just about IT. As Stephen said, we always say, cybersecurity is a business imperative, and we all know the figures. We all know how much it costs companies to be attacked this way. We all know that in 97% of the moments we send boots on the ground to help people, to help with our responders, it is to face attackers which are here for the money. So when you know all of that, it is necessary to prepare not only the general workforce and the IT/information security people, but definitely it needs to come from the top, because this is not on IT or security to face the authorities, to face the insurance responsible to guide the boat through the crisis. It's definitely a matter of top management, and this is why Stephen and I we do that. We do that for a living with great success, I have to say. So yeah, it's all about that as well.
So what you do it before the incident actually happens, right? So you're not really necessarily involved when the incident actually happens.
The beauty of all of it, and I'm going to start, so then it's not going to always me after Stephen.
Please, yeah.
Love you, mate. The beauty and the sadness of all of this is that where does it start, and where's the end? Because it's like peace and war. It's like in between. It's like the same. In between crisis, it's also after crisis and before the next crisis. So it's like when you train for a sports session, when you train for a marathon, for example. It's not like you train for once and then you've run a marathon and then you stop. No, the business needs to continue. Those companies, they're here for years and years and years, and they are large companies. So Stephen and I, we don't come when the crisis is there. IBM has some people, other companies can send people boots on the ground to do that. That's much more technical people able to do so with huge expertise. That's not our expertise. We are on something else. We are that medical exam you pass every 6 months or every year to be sure you're in shape. We are those coaches, those grenade launcher coaches that are here to make you train before or after, but basically in a world of peace, to make sure that when the fire is here, then either you like barbecue or you want to get out of here as fast as possible. So you really need to be in good shape when those bad moments are happening.
Okay.
Yeah, it's part of like cyber readiness, right? Is a term, right? We hear a lot about right now. So what we do is part of that initiative in businesses, right? So that the road mapping, programming someone's cyber preparedness, say stance, their posture, and we like to say that this is the test, after they've gone through their enablements, and we can come in at any level of a business maturity and give them a very quick snapshot of where they're at, right? So by putting them through a crisis scenario, they can see all the gaps, right, that they have very quickly, and they can see the gaps in, their technical preparedness. They can see it in their business preparedness. They can see it in the behaviors, right, in the C-levels themselves, right? So by doing that and also it's kind of Sebastien and I love working with CISOs and CIOs because they've got a really, really tough job. And we talk often about being able to achieve in 2.5, 3 hours what these guys have been trying to achieve in 2.5, 3 years, and trying to get their message across for investment in the cyber defense. So we like to, as part of cyber readiness, cyber preparedness, show company at any level of maturity where they're at quickly, identify so they can identify the gaps in their organization's preparedness, and then we'll come back a year later, 6 months, depending on the level of maturity of the business, and test them again and see if they've learned from the last scenario, and shoring up the gaps, close the gaps, and and often in those 6 months they might have had a near miss. Threat landscape will have changed, mergers and acquisitions. They've got blind spots now with supply chain and third parties and all this kind of stuff. So again, they're constantly changing. So we like to come in and in a very short period of time assist the CISO in his job in the cyber preparedness, cyber readiness.
So who are the stakeholders that you work with when it comes to the preparation phase. So you mentioned the CIO, the CISO, but I'm trying to picture which are the teams that get involved, or is it just
who's in the room,
yeah,
basically?
who's in the room, exactly.
So there is the prep and the delivery.
Mhm.
The preparation, this is really a small team because we don't want to spoil anything, because, you know, if the participants come to the session by knowing what's coming, I mean, it's cheating. You know, in real life, the attackers are going to say, hello, you got a rendezvous with your crisis in 2 days. No way, you know?
There's ransomware popping up.
Yeah. Like, you know, countdown or whatever. And this is the attack chain. And no, you never know that. So we try not to spoil it by implicating as few people as possible, but also the people which have the ranks, the rank, you know, to mobilize the C-suite. And so this is why we talk a lot about CISO and CIO. Sometimes we have CRO as well for the risk officer. I'm working on a training with Stephen on where BCP manager is also included, business continuity. But roughly this is maximum 2 to 3 person from the client, which is, let's say, in the secret of what we're going to do. There are also the one which are to build that. And maybe Stephen, you can complete what I say with by explaining who's in the room when we deliver those trainings.
Yeah. So in the room, we ask for, and it's not always possible to achieve it with the C-levels availabilities, but we like all the stakeholders to be present. CFO, CMO, compliance, risk, business continuity, as you mentioned, these kind of internal stakeholders, they have a big job. Communications, obviously, PR, comms. Comms is a thing that comes up all the time. That's the questions that people ask, and the blind spots, and the lack of preparedness there, you know.
Comms, because you want to know as an organization how to communicate externally and internally.
Absolutely. Like, for example, my background is in television. I spent 15 years in TV before rejoining the family business, which is security. And I first came face to face with a nation state attack when I was at Sony Pictures, and the chaos that reigned throughout that nation state attack. We had to go external to find out what was going on, right? We had to Google what was happening to our own firm, right? So this kind of stuff, I was able to experience firsthand, right? So, you know, you need to be on a front foot when it comes to comms, right? Because you need to keep staff on board. Morale needs to be maintained, right? Get through a crisis like this. And that's like, you know, general workforce all the way up. And like, you know, internal messages, as Sebastien always says, quickly becomes an external message. Nothing internal stays internal for long. You know, the crisis comms needs to be linked to your incident response plan. These things need to be mapped right together. So that pops up. So everybody needs to be in the same page, because when someone sticks a microphone in a C-level space, you know, when they're exiting the building during a crisis, they need to know what to say. That phone can ring at any time. You never know who's on the other end of it. So, you know, people need to know what's going on to be able to take it, you know, a quick temperature test of the environment they're in, the situation they're in, and the level of response at that time, you know. So these things become really, really vital. So getting everybody on board, all the stakeholders, because these different, you know, pillars in the business can have silos in the business, and you might be completely ignorant of what your CFO's, you know, crown jewels are. You know, each and every pillar has their own risk quant, right? Their own kind of precious cargo that they're trying to protect, right? And so you want to be able to work together with these people and to know who they are. Sometimes they don't even know who they are, right? You know, or who their delegates are in a crisis as well. You know, John, CFO, might be on holiday in Bermuda. Who do I call when you know, the crisis hits, right? So yeah, when he's unavailable. So these things become vitally important, you know. So, and having these existing relationships and having it drilled makes it easier on the day when crisis attacks. I go, okay, cool. I know this person. I've worked with this person. I've drilled with this person. He knows what to do, and I call him, right? So, you know, all that stuff becomes muscle memory. You don't have to worry about it too much. You know, you act. You know, as Sebastien says, it's about doing, not thinking during these crises.
So we mentioned like CFO, CMO, we mentioned the risk officer, we mentioned communications, PR probably also. Anything else that we need to think, any other function that we need to think of?
Well, so usually we have between 12 to maximum 20 people. So
Big groups.
Yeah, big groups. Not too big, but not too small. Because there are a lot of things to be handled on a legal perspective, on an HR perspective, on a comms, internal, external, PR, risk, legal, I said, CEO for sure, comms, we said it. So 12 to 20 is what we have. That's average, okay? Less you miss some people that are critical to face the different angles on each situations we make them live. More you're not realistic. Sometimes we add sometimes we kind of funny things. We have we target the C-suite, the decision unit of the crisis. Okay, but sometimes we have board members on there to see what the executives are doing. That is also very interesting to see how they operate between them, the execs / the board members. It's a different relationship. Sometimes we have board members from really special place in the world, honestly, with ranks which are huge, and so you also have to adapt to this kind of population, which is another type of population. And sometimes we had once German customer, we had once their professional negotiators in the room with us. So it's really so when we ask, the CEO, how many times per year do you get ransom to have those retainer people, negotiators, like Denzel Washington guys, like negotiating the ransom, these kind of people? He said way too much. So I said, okay, so
that's not good.
That's not good. I mean, is because they have those people on retainer, and so they wanted. The CEO also wanted to have them in the training, in the drill. That's the word that Steven said, drill. That's really a drill, like a fire drill, but a cyber drill here. And so it comes to a group of maximum 20, because when you add those kind of population, in the US, I know a former colleague of us, which is now retired, he had brought 2 real FBI agents in the training because of his special network. You want to play authorities? Yeah, let's bring the real people. So,
nice.
Yeah, that's why we get to maximum 20 people.
Fair enough.
Bringing the board members in is great, right? Because you'll have the dynamic in the room changes immediately. Like, you'll see like the CEO being a CEO, and then when he realizes that the board have remoted in and are now observing the simulation exercise, and they want to see where they've spent their money and if they've hired the right people. So it's and that speaks a lot, to the fact that organizations take it that seriously, right? And when we have people say, oh, so and so is only available for the first 20 minutes, Sebastien, you know exactly what I'm going to say here, right? And then we see them stick around for the 3 hours, right? So we know that we're doing a great job live on during the simulation, when we're getting the CEO of Fortune 500 companies who said they can only commit to the first 15 minutes, but then they stick around for the 3 hours and get involved and participate, and become antagonists as well, which is fantastic.
You know what? It made me think about something else. And honestly, Steven and I, we can write a book about it, honestly, because we do that so much. But we cannot fail, because
that's an interesting statement. Can you elaborate on that? Because that's a harsh quote. We cannot fail.
We cannot, because first, this is thanks to the CISO and the CIO that we are promoted to face the C-suite. So first, high level of pressure on our shoulders, because this is on us to do a fantastic job. I can tell you that the grades they gave us are fantastic. So yeah, but in any case, we have to be 100% all the time, because if we fail, then we go as instructors, and we may not never come if we fail. But the CISO and the CIO, they stay. So, and as we are here because of them or thanks to them, we have to be 100% fully operational. We cannot fail. And when you add to the picture board members, then it comes to a second level of pressure on your shoulders, because the CEO is going to look at you as, okay, you have to make me look good because now the board members are here. So this is why we prepare so much. I mean, there's a lot of preparation for those 2 hours and a half, 3 hours training. This is a lot of preparation because everything counts. Every detail needs to be precise. We cannot anticipate everything. Okay, it's like real training, but I mean, this is why we prepare so much.
So what exactly happens during crisis management preparation?
Yeah.
What does it entail during those 2.5 hours when you guys are talking? What are you talking about? What are you doing?
So first, we need to picture that the first question we ask to our sponsors, which are CIOs and CISOs, is you can put it two different ways. Where are your key risks? Okay, or where do you want the money to be in the next month? Which is basically the same thing because their goal is to protect the others. So, I mean, depending on the priorities and maturity and the exposure of the company, it will be different company per company. But anyway, in any case, we know where their business can go to the ground. And we have to make them train on that worst case scenario. So it's always a worst case scenario, snowball effect, plausible situation that we make them live.
And for clarity, that is custom, right? That is for every organization different.
Every organization is different. So yes, there are some similarities between different organizations. Yes, sure. But when you look at the details, everything is fully custom. It's like haute couture. You know, it's like really you do things custom because you want to serve your customer. That's what we do. And so I'm gonna let Steven explain what we do in the training. If Steve, if you wanna jump in.
Yeah. So, you know, most of this stuff, right, is taken from the military, right? Started off there. You know, the origins are from the military. So I mentioned at the top of the about the boom concept, right? And this was a concept taken from the military, right? And it's that moment where you've lost control. It's after the first explosion, right? Literally boom, okay? And people are scattered and chaos reigns. That's what we do, right? So in the first inject, the first plot device in our scenario is a very large grenade, right? And it sends people scattering to the four corners in panic. So we want to see from that point on what they've got, right? How well they know their playbooks, how well they know their internal processes and procedures, how well they know their own crisis metrics, etc. Right? And that's what we're doing. We're testing them on their own criteria, on their own processes and procedures. Okay, because as Sebastien said, we design a custom simulation to fit their business, right? And now we might be privy, depending on the client sponsorship and how and the level of maturity, to their crisis management playbooks, to their incident response playbooks, and we know what their next move should be, right? So we've designed it to test them on this. Yes, we bring best practices and various standards from the world of security into this, but we're there to test them on their own business and how well they cope under pressure, based on these attack scenarios. And as Sebastien said, like, it's a worst case scenario. These scenarios never end well. Like, everybody dies, nobody gets out of the building. Like, when we leave, that's it's in a nosedive, right? And we get to go, okay, good, the simulation is over now. And it's up to you to pull this out of the nosedive and save the aircraft and everybody on board. We do this for aviation as well, the aviation industry. So that's an actual literal kind of example. So, but that's the idea. The idea is to kind of scare people into action and to see if they can remember what to do under extreme pressure.
Just out of curiosity,
bringing externals in is vital here as well. I've just thought about this as well. So lately, Sebastien and I do a lot of business development, and there are some companies that are very, very sophisticated, quite mature. They like to do this stuff internally. No one takes this stuff as seriously internally, right?
That was actually my question here, because how do you make sure that people are actually like properly stressed, properly involved also? Because most people will have the opinion like, okay, this is just a tabletop exercise, or oh, this is just a simulation. It's not that bad.
Before Sebastien answers this question, I'm going to say, Sebastien, you can't give away our tricks, right?
Secret recipe. No, I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't.
You can't give away the secret recipe. Go ahead.
No, but it's really there are two things. First, three things. We never had any C-level people leaving the room or taking the phone or the iPad or whatever. These guys are really busy people. I mean,
Yeah.
to assemble these guys, sometimes this is like 2, 3, 4, 6 months in advance. So really busy people. They never get out of it. Never. Okay.
So
Second,
containment within the room.
yeah, and also because of the way we do things. I mean, because they can get bored. Okay, they can say, okay, I don't it's not realistic. The instructor and the team behind is not putting me into some pressure. We never had that ever. And trust me, these guys, some people are public persons, So I will not tell anything about a secret recipe because otherwise Stephen is going to punish me. But but definitely it seems to be working. I said 3, and then I'm speaking, and I forget what I want to say. The at least the second is like I'm gonna give you a personal experience. Okay. I have kids, and I tried to teach skiing with my son. Okay, to my son. And trust me, I have a really good level in skiing. Really, I jump from helicopters in ski, so I really love it. What I'm saying is that every parent can understand that I tried to teach my son how to ski, and so I said some words, I showed him some techniques, but you know what? He never listened. So I said, okay, I will pay some courses with a teacher, professional skiing teacher, and you know what? The guy said the same things as I said, and he showed the same techniques as I did, and I said, so with an external party, it's working, and with me, it's not. It is not. Why?
Right.
Here it's the same. When they bring us as experts to do that, it's like that. It is that psychological effect. It's the skiing teacher effect. And you know what? We are all built like that. Whatever you are a CEO or a parent with a child, it's exactly the same. So there is another thing that we bring to the table is benchmarking. So we never compare them officially from one to another, but they always ask us, in different moments of the training, of the drill, are we good? Are we on the right track? Okay, this is a journey, but where we are compared to others. And because we do that from a company to another company, different sectors of activity, we have the ability to naturally benchmark or compare them on the fly when they ask for it, and which is not possible if they would use internal people to do so. Logical. Yeah. So that's also why they like it.
Fair enough. Good answers.
The
secret recipe.
Something that struck me was when Stephen said that you guys scare the people in the room. Do the scare tactics really work now that they're trying to move away, at least from a security perspective?
True.
They're trying to move away.
Fear, uncertainty, doubts.
Yeah, from scaring people.
Yeah. I'm going to start answering that question. We all know that scaring people is not working. It can create, we said was sparkle. Yeah, sparkle in English. To light the fuel. Yeah, like Spark. Yeah, sparkling water. Yeah, that's my French talking anyway. Okay, so sparks. Okay, all right. That's really to launch the engine. It's working for that. But if you remain on a position, on a posture which is all about fear, it's not working. We all know that. I mean, we've been in security for how long? I've been in security for 15 years, physical and cyber. So I mean, I know that. The reason why people train is because they know it's out there. It's because they want to be ready in case. And it's not about if, it's a matter of when. Everybody knows that. Every CEO opens newspapers. I mean, it's like business as usual today. But if we stay on that posture, it's nonsense. It's not working. It's engaging. Okay, and we want to engage them into a journey for more security, but also for more intelligent security. Okay, and security as the ally of business transformation. Security as the way for them to optimize and to get the return on investment on their digital journey. This is all about that. So this is scaring people and making them sweat, but this is also on the positive way. This
Okay.
is also learning moments. It's like, I'm a personal life, I'm a combat instructor. And so my students, when they come to fight, and trust me, we go hard on testing if it's real, if it's working. But anyway, this is because they know it's out there, and they
Mhm.
want to train in the knowledge that will be handled by an instructor which is positive, okay, which is to make them learn, to make them grow, to make them better, and which is not going to play easy on them. Otherwise, this is false sense of security, yes, but this is also learning moments. When we do these drills, this is not at all around you're bad, you're bad, you're bad. Not at all. This is around this is how you react naturally. This is where your muscle memory level is. This is how you could go to the next level. And so we give them tips, we give them best practices, we make them work together so that they can learn and grow. So that's really the positive mindset of security. And the negative mindset of security is not working at all. We all know that. So you have to say, a lie, positive. This is how you can secure your business. How you can make more money. It's all about that in the end.
Yeah. I mean, we do say at the very top, of these simulations that, it's our objective to equip you in these 3 hours to better handle a crisis, right? And what we do is we take them through this scary simulation by showing them what could happen, what did happen to a company just like yours down the road, right? Maybe a neighbor in this industrial estate, right? And you guys are, we don't want that. That's why you've invited us in. We don't want what happened to our neighbors happening to us, right? Yeah. So we showed them what that would look like for them, and that's scary in itself. That's what I mean by terrorizing them. This is how it would look for you with your name in the newspaper, with your CEO on TV, with your guys facing the avalanche of tasks after the boom open. That alone is scary. Are you ready for that? That's a scary thought. And then what we do then is we use what we call injects, these plot points in the 3 hour sim, as learning moments, teachable, teaching moments, training in the training session. These are these have their own shape. So there's they're further grenades after that first one that created the chaos and kind of sent everybody running for the hills. But what we do is we show them, we equip them at the end of each inject, right, with best practices, with what we call, Sebastien and I have different names for them in our simulations. I call them like top line actions, and these are things kind of like pocket playbooks, but more like one visual image that, okay, cool, if I can do this, and this, I can maybe mitigate disaster in the next moment, right? Because it's about like this spiraling out of control, and how rapidly it can happen. So we want to show them that they have procedures and playbooks in place to stop this unraveling further, right? And sometimes these procedures and playbooks, they're gathering dust on the shelf behind them. They don't even know it's there.
Never.
So by bringing us in, they might have gone, let me just grab that down off the shelf, and had a little look at what they're supposed to do. So what we do is in every inject and everything, we equip them. So we kind of, it's a push me pull you type situation, where we frighten them, we reassure them, we show them that they're ready, and then we go, okay, cool. So next time this happens, you'll be it's all there, as Sebastien says, muscle memory, and reflexively you'll know what to do, and there won't be panic. That's what we're trying to do: reduce the panic, reduce a chaotic response to a chaotic situation.
So we've already touched upon a few anecdotes. We touched upon what happens during an actual session. So maybe it's also good to just discuss a few of the challenges that you can face. Because, for example, you already mentioned time constraints. The people that you have in the room are busy, usually, important people. So that's a constraint, or that's a challenge. Anything else that you can think of?
So time, yes. We have techniques to put time as, let's say, we say, time is not on your side. So there are some techniques in the drill itself so that we make sure we stick on timing, and so that they can understand that time is not on their side. challenges. Honestly, the more immersive the room we are in is, the more immersive the moment becomes as well. So I talk about logistic here. At the beginning, we were kind of struggling into, 2 years ago, into adapting what they see when they come to our facility to their facility, because we run these sessions at IBM site, at the client site, at whatever site. We've done some things in some hotels, Anyway, and why not? I mean, C-suite people sometimes they go, off
In a
the
retreat.
Yeah. How do you say that in English? Retreat?
Retreats, yeah.
Yeah, it's like that, So you're invited to that, and then they use you for 3 hours into a really nice hotel, into a nice neighborhood.
No
It's not their
complaints
place.
there, right?
What?
No complaints there.
No complaints at all. Sometimes it's a different world as well. We had a C-suite taking their private jet just to train with us. So they didn't. They came to us, like landing, quick lunch, training 3 hours, taxi, private jet, go back. I said, "Wow, that's huge." These are the kind of people. Yeah, it's education, and that's also a different world. Okay, when you speak to these people, you have to adapt to them as well. So, logistic is clearly one. But you know what? In the end, we managed to replicate as maximum. We even done that in virtual. I mean, almost 20% of the drill we run is in virtual, because we have some companies which are pretty mature, and which are saying, you know what? In reality, what are the odds we are all together in the same room?
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah.
Not at all. So we need to train like we fight, and train like we fight is also in the way we take decisions.
So when I was hired by IBM, it was to bring this immersive experience to the next level in a virtual or hybrid delivery, right? Bringing my skill set from the TV background. Because it's easy, like when you take someone into an IBM site, they're already off their center. Okay. How do you bring the same level of intensity to the deliveries, right? When they're comfortable in their own boardroom.
It becomes difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. So Sebastien and I have brought in my TV directing experience, my cyber expertise, my engineering background, Sebastian's close combat instruction, his 15 years in physical security, now a cyber expert. So with his close combat and my TV stuff, we've got a kind of a great a complementary set of skills that can kind of bring any level of intensity that's required to these deliveries, whether it be on site with the client, on site at IBM, or a hybrid model. Recently, I did a poll on LinkedIn asking how did the CISOs want to train their C-levels? Because, we talk about mimicking the business reality, as Sebastien was saying. And, when disaster strikes, it's not going to be the day they're all on a retreat somewhere.
Of course not.
Right. In a blissed out Zen state, right? Haven't had a foot rub, right? It's going to be on the worst day possible, right? Because
usually before Christmas.
Yeah, because that's when the thing that people are kind of
Sunday.
It isn't random anymore, right? It isn't random when these attacks happen, because the sophistication of the sponsor of the attack, right? So the motives behind these attacks, it might be geopolitical. They might have found a back door, a nation state have found a back door themselves, and they then might subcontract out the attack to a cyber criminal group, right? Who then are a legitimate business and are very well organized and very sophisticated, and they will have their own processes and procedures, their own playbooks in place, and they will be executing according to that timeline to cause a maximum destruction and maximum chaos, right, at the right moment. They've timed their charges to detonate when it will cause the most chaos, right? So when I did the poll, I wanted to confirm what myself and Sebastien were seeing on the ground over the last 18 months was that people want this hybrid delivery, because with these multinational firms, these global firms, they're going to be in the four corners of planet Earth, right, when the attack hits. And they will need to be able to remote into a remote war room to engage as a crisis management delegate and manage the response. So what we do is we design our we design our scenarios to try. I push for this now. I push. Look, if you want this to be real, if you want to train sophisticatedly, if you want to do this, you know, if you want to train like you're going to face the fight, then you need to do it in a hybrid model. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, you might get a bunch of you guys happen to have an office in the UK, in London together, and you can all make it into that war room. Great. But the rest of the guys are scattered. They need to remote in. So we deliver it in that model for those reasons.
Yeah, and going back also to one of Faith's question, there is one thing Stephen says all the time is like you get from it what you put in it. And this is also what we do as instructors. When Stephen leads or when I lead, basically we all do the same. You know, some people may not be in the right mood at the right moment in the drill.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but you know, we all have our lives, you know, and they have their lives as well, and then there's stress and their constraints and all of it. So this is also on us as good coaches or teachers or you name it. Some people call us facilitators. You know, I like instructor because of my background, but I have to say I love instructor a lot. But this is also a way to have those social skills, those soft skills to bring everybody in. Because these guys, honestly, women and men, they have egos like that. And for sure, because they are on the top of huge companies. What are we compared to them? We are small guys. We are small people compared to these people. The thing is, for 3 hours, they are in our playground. So now we are the masters. But that's fair enough. But know that all those soft skills that you have them or you don't have them. But this is bringing people in it, making them comfortable. There's no judgment. It's not recorded. This is just to grow, to train. That's the spirit. So this is also a way for us to, let's say, to avoid having, I don't know, COO on the side or CHRO on the side not implicated. And the thing is, we never had it. So, and fingers crossed, we don't have it at all. But we never had that really. So it seems that the way we do this is working. Yeah.
And as Sebastien was saying, you know, like so we're a global team. We deliver this globally, and every country is different. Culturally, we have to be attentive. We have to be able to, like, I do a lot of work in MIA. They're very different client to our American clients. So when you deliver in these kind of boardrooms, it's me, 15 people, American people get on board. They've seen a version of this on TV or something, and they want to get involved. They all want to be the lead character. They all want to, you know, dominate, execute, lead. They, you know, it's great. Like the engagement level is phenomenal. It doesn't take the same level of energy for me to fire them up, right? But in other boardrooms, in other geos, where they're far more reserved, they're far more conservative, they might not, you know, they're just more reticent, right, to get involved. That draws on Sebastien's skill set, his close combat, my directing, how I used to work with on-air talent, how I used to work with a TV crew, all this kind of stuff that I draw upon from my own personal experience. And we get that engagement, right? So they might sit there and go, I'm not getting involved, you know.
No way.
But, you know, 15, 20 minutes in, they're in it. They've rolled up their sleeves. They're taking their jacket off, right? They're like, I got this. Suddenly they're stepping, they're stepping up to the plate. And that's great. So we get to see, like, during the immersion, how successful the immersion is and how it's going. And because, like, we're taking direction either via an earpiece with the back of house crew or on a Slack channel or however it is, like, you know, these things are fully gamified. So we have to be able to shift with the experience. And if the engagement level is not great, then we need to step it up. And so there'll be an outside, you know, there'll be someone, you know, in the gallery, to use a TV expression, who say, okay, cool, I think we need to do this, I think we need to do this, let's go harder here, let's go softer here, whatever it is, you know, we need to be, it's a very all the deliveries are dynamic, you know. It might be designed before we go into the room, but what happens in the room changes depending on the level of engagement in the room and how they respond, right?
Yeah. So
it's it's like I remember this time when I was supporting you, Stephen. You were leading that session, and I was running a gamified live immersion on the phone with one of the participants, and that guy he said to me on Slack, "Push harder," and I said, "Okay, fire." So I mean, because he felt that with that person on that moment, on that situation, I could push the limit a little further. And that was the right move. So you cannot anticipate that. You feel it or you don't feel it.
Fair enough. So sorry, Faye.
No, I was gonna go to the next topic.
Yeah, same. So also considering the time a little bit, because we're having a wonderful conversation, but we also need to be a little bit conscious of time. Maybe because we already touched upon it slightly, what do you need to have, or what do you need to know if you want to work in this field, if you want to work in crisis preparation, crisis management preparation?
So I had the question from 32 years old guy, no longer than last week when I was ending a conference in France. He said, "Well, I love it. It's so cool to do that job. Can you explain to me where you come from?" And so, and how do I get it, basically? And so, two things. There are two kinds of preparation: technical preparation and business preparation. Stephen and I, we are in a business preparation. So I cannot only speak about business preparation. Okay. Yeah. And so you've seen that Stephen comes from TV. I come from physical security. We regrouped. I mean, on my side, it's been like since 2017. I joined cyber. For Stephen, this is family business, and so basically, there is I don't know how to translate that, but there is a quote in French which is saying a sheep with 5 legs. I don't know how to translate that honestly, but this is to represent the fact that to do what we do, you need to be you need to be expert on complementary skills. I hate, honestly, and I love the word hating on this word. Swiss Army knife. We are not Swiss Army knives because we cannot do everything we want, but we are really good at what we're doing. And to do really good what we do, we need soft skills and our skills to be able to run these sessions. So yes, we need to know cybersecurity. We need to know the business impact. We need to translate cyber risk management into business words. We have to know how to handle a group of large ego people. We have to know how to speak on behalf of top managers, which are CIOs and CISOs. We have to, when Stephen says direct, this is really direct like in TV, it's this kind of plays as well. And then there is all your personal touch that you cannot just, Stephen has his style, I have my style, and this is really funny to see that both are working, even if we're not the same. And this is also really interpersonal communication which comes into play. So you see that to do one thing, which is basically build, deliver, and defend some recommendations on how to enhance the cyber defenses of one company, and basically to help the CISO and the CIO to get the right money to do their protection business. You need to have different skills. We come from different worlds. We are all on the same passion, on the same track, on making people better, building that muscle memory into very smart people, which are getting what we say in a second. And so the good news is you don't have to necessarily come from the technical side of security to train business people on security. It's better to have some skills, yeah, but these are not the only skills you need to have. And there was a long answer for a short question, but definitely, yeah.
No, but as Sebastian's right, like neither Sebastien or I are digital forensic analysts. We're not. That's not our background. But we work with them all the time and for them, with them, to deliver these exercises, right? We've got at X-Force PhD holders in the cyberspace. We've got people from all the big sexy 3-letter US government agencies who have this type of threat intel expertise, for example, right? As well as patent holders in this space and all that kind of stuff. So there's deep technical skills, in IBM X-Force, right, that we draw upon for these build outs, right, for these scenarios and for these injects. And one of the offerings that we do have at the cyber range is the cyber war game. And that is technical experience, right? We do run a business response as well, where Sebastien calls it the fully muscled version, where we run, and it's the closest thing to a real life sim, because you have in parallel and together, you've got your CISO and below taking care of the technical response to a cyber crisis attack, and then you've got the rest of the C levels dealing with the enterprise level response, right? And then they run in parallel for 3 to 4 hours through this attack chain scenario that we've developed for them, right? And these teams regroup every hour, update each other on the current threat spread, and what they're doing about it, and what the both sides of this sword need to do to be successful in conquering the attack. So yeah, technical expertise is great, but Sebastien and I were both hired to do this stuff because of our front of house skill set, right? So you have to be able to, whatever background you come from, you have to be able to own it, right? Because I'll give an example there. Some of the CEOs will like to challenge you on the spot, right? You're an expert. You're here to tell me what to do, right? So we had a last minute change for a delivery in 2022.
Paris?
You're thinking, yeah?
Yeah.
And this guy was great. He was great, but it didn't start off great, right? I'm doing my opening monologue, if you will, right? I'm saying, hello, everybody. Welcome to today's disaster scenario, right? And this is what we're going to do here. And I'm X, Y, and Z. And then he goes, hey, whoa, stop.
Wow.
Yeah. What's the point? Right?
Oh my.
in these words,
Of my time.
like that.
Yeah. What's the point of all of this, right? Shouldn't we all just accept that in this type of in this day and age, this type of scenario, we just pay and move on, right?
Oh wow.
CEO said that.
Yeah, right. Wow. And I remember when I interviewed for my job, right? One of the one of the instructors at the cyber range said to me, Stephen, how do you think you're going to handle curveballs, right? And the show must go on kind of mentality, right? And I said, I don't know. I mean, I've worked in live television for 15 years. I've had to roll with the punches. I've had to deal with, technical disasters live on air and things not working and VT not running and having to switch and, whatever, all sorts of technical malfunctions on air, right? And the show has had to continue because it's live on air. Everybody's watching, right? And there's loads of money involved in these broadcasts, etc., right? So I said, I don't know. I think I'll be fine. And I was tested in Paris, man. So because he's got, this Europe-wide, it was a great engagement. I mean, this delivery turned out to be really, really good, right? It turned out to be one of my favorites. But yeah, he tested me on the spot, and I said, yeah, okay, great question. I said, when I went to Brazil 2 years ago, I was told to carry 2 wallets, one for me and one for the thieves, because the idea was that I would survive the attack. If you want to survive the attack, you better be prepared. You better have 2 wallets. It's about being resilient, right? I told him that, cyber resilience was business resilience and this kind of stuff. So that was my comeback. And then he went, okay, cool. He knew that he was he got it, right? It was about surviving the attack, not being wiped out. And so, yeah, you will be challenged. And I think we're at whatever your background is, whether it's technical or not, you just have to be able to own your level of expertise and the fact that you're there to do a job and that you're qualified to do it. Like,
funny.
That's
what, we have a lot of anecdotes like that because in the end you deal with human beings and very smart, very talented human beings. I remember I was in North America in early March, And at the end, it says, "Oh, that was very good," and people are standing up, shake your hand, and some people stay to discuss and all these things, like after a nice meeting or like a team building, And I was like, and something happened. The COO, he went to the CIO. I was just here packing my stuff, and I heard him say to the other guy, "Oh, that was much more interesting than your technical training you made us do usually." I said, "Did I hear that? Really?" So
Nice.
sometimes you have stuff like that, and so
No,
here that.
Sebastian, what he said was that was better than your usual boring.
Oh yeah, come on. Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, that's what he said. But
yeah,
I was being polite.
yeah. So I think,
hopefully no one recognizes himself or herself in that quote.
no. North America is a big place,
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm curious because you guys deal a lot with the C-suite. Are we talking egos, like a lot of egos most of the times, or is it just an outlier sometimes?
So what's great, right, is you talk about like how do you recreate the intensity of a real live simulation? You put all these egos in front of each other, and they want to perform well, right? So their egos are doing half the battle for us, right? So I like working with that. It's a great place to be. And so that's actually this secret sauce that Sebastien was trying his best not to talk. There are things self-evident in the room that help us do our job, and a big ego is a great asset for us.
Yeah, I have another anecdote like that. It was one of my first trainings. 7 a.m. 23rd floor, above the clouds. Nice city in Europe, and basically. We were there because the former CEO said to the next CEO, when you will be taking my place, go and train with these people. So she asked for us to come. The CEO asked for us to come, so the CISO didn't really have a choice to hire us again, because she said, I want these guys. And so that was really good for us, okay? And when you are in this room with this level of people and with the CEO totally engaged, their ego also jumps into play, because when the boss is in the game,
they need to
everybody needs
well.
to be exactly. So that's a lot of that as well. That one was, really, at the end she said, that was really American style. And we said, that's good. And she said, yeah, that's wonderful. Okay, nice.
Okay.
We give them all like opportunities to shine, right?
Yeah.
And that's great too. And like, so, it might look scary at first glance, but when they take the first step, they know they can take the next step, and then before they know it, they're in the clear and they've led the rest of the team out, right? And that's just great. And then that just builds morale, confidence, everybody gets on board, so this type of work is they're fired up when they're leaving. I mean, the Sebastien and I, it's usually an annual health check, right? And I talk about these CEOs, oftentimes are required to do an annual physical, right? To see that they're fit to do the job. And I say that, our physical exam is less invasive, but as important, right? And there's like, it's absolutely vital. And we come in at 6 months or 12 months, and some of them don't want to wait the 12 months, right? They're fired up. They want to come back in 6 months because they can see the progress that they're making, and they want to come back sooner. Because that they're inspired, right? By the size of the task, but also how well they've done, right? They think, okay, cool, we can get it over the line quicker, if you can keep us on track, we can get it over the line quicker. Yeah. So I think
what's funny in the quicker is that they never get quicker in the end, because we muscle the version training after training, because otherwise it becomes too easy. So when your students come from, I don't know, the blue belt to the brown belt, then you also have to increase the level of complexity. Otherwise, it's too easy, So it's like, I have one of my really good friend in the military, and they do those, those long walks with the packs, and then there is that bus which is waiting for them every hour, and then the instructor says, you know what, if you've managed to be there on time, you can go in the truck, in the bus, and you don't have to work for the rest of the session. They never get to it. It's impossible. But that's the purpose of it. This is to make them continue no matter what. They're going to continue. The harder it becomes, the better they get. You don't do that if you do that the first time, you just lose them. If you do that step after step, training after training, then this is what we call enhancing people. That's what we do. They never get into the bus. Ever.
I think, Stephen, you wanted to say something before we wrap up?
No, I was just thinking that's a good way to wrap it up, actually, you know.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Stephen and Sebastien. This was a very engaging conversation. I really loved it. Learned a lot from you. And
you can tell that Sebastien and I both love what we do, right? So that's
which is very important.
You have a fun job for sure.
I sought it out when I heard it existed, you know. I think Sebastien's story is the same. We saw the job, stalked it out, and went, you know. So
this is it.
That's a good you know, one final question. So if people are looking to get into this similar job, what are the titles? What are the roles that
Wow. So most of us are out there are called facilitators, cyber crisis facilitators. That's the polite word, or I'd say to say it. They are coaches or instructors. We are a lot of coaching, that's clearly what we do. And so first search for it in terms of job roles, posting, and whatever. But also don't be afraid to go for it. I'm going to take my example. I come from the business side of cybersecurity. Okay, I've done a lot of things. I'm also a public speaker, published in the press. I love to speak in public. I love it for so many years. But then I said, I want that job. It looks cool. I want to do it. And so I took my phone and I called the guy in charge on the other side of the planet. And I say, hey, Dan, I want to be in your team. He said, who the hell are you? I said, give me 30 minutes. I'm going to explain. You know what? Nice. I'm here. So don't be shy. Do it.
So these jobs are usually situated within proactive services of an incident response team. It's kind of places the cherry on top at the end of a year-long roadmap of preparedness, right? So incident response proactive services team will take you through a series of tabletops, enable your business, and then at the end, they will put you through your paces in a cyber crisis simulation, right? And that myself and Sebastien will come in at the end. We won't have been involved in the tabletops, you know. This element of surprises, you know, is important. And but some of the tabletops are business tabletops. We will get involved or whatever, but you know, that's not to say that we're not part of the enablement before the time. We are. But yeah, we'll come in there. So these roles are typically placed within an incident response team, part of the proactive services and the cyber readiness.
Okay, that's a good addition.
And usually, to search for it, these are consulting missions. So these are consulting firms like IBM Security is services and is on the consulting side of IBM. If you look at the guys we face as competitors, they are all consulting companies. So going back to your questions, this is really the go-to companies to the cyber consulting companies, which are some of them, because that's niche. You understand that we are not so many to do that in the world. So, but these are the kind of consulting companies which are proposing on paper these kind of things. I like to say on paper because we've done some win backing on some customers, and when we ask why did you come to us, they said, well, you got a special touch. And I said, what is it? What is it? And the customer always saying, well, if I tell you, you will charge me more. So you will never know. But yeah, it seems there's something. But yeah, these jobs exist. Some companies, they do that with consultants which are doing different things. Some rare companies do that with specialist people like us. So this is one key difference out there in the market, I think.
Okay. And with that, we're really thankful. We hope that we will see you next time, have you to discuss a different topic, perhaps, or the same topic. But until then, thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, guys. Thanks for having us.
You're
Been great to
very
talk about it.
welcome.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.